Hi everybody, I'm Mataure. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I want to talk about just a few things that I don't do as a wife. When you get married, a lot of people have a lot of opinions of what they think you should and shouldn't be doing in your relationship. And this has never been something I subscribe to. So don't get me wrong, I don't judge anybody who does any of these things. Of course, everybody should do what works for their household, but I'm just going to list a couple of things that I am not doing as a wife. Number one, I don't define respect in my marriage based on other people's views. As an African woman, you all know the deal. It's the kneeling, it's the washing your husband's hands, serving him a plate of food while you're on your hands and knees and all that stuff. And it's not something that's new to me. Growing up, it was what I was trained to do from a very young age. So for me, it comes very naturally to me. And I assumed that this is what respect means when you get into a marriage. And then I got married to a guy who doesn't believe in any of that. They don't do those things at their house. It's something that does not come naturally to him. It weirds him out when I do those things. So he's the kind of person who believes in self-service. That's how his mom raised him. He cooks, he cleans, he does everything in the house. And when we go out to other places, some people sometimes find it strange and they think, oh, she doesn't respect her husband. She doesn't kneel to give him food. She doesn't kneel to give him a glass of water. And I realized quickly that, you know what, in our marriage, we define respect in a different way. Of course, it then ties into things like culture and whatever, but that whole thing of like kneeling down to give your husband food, it's not something that I don't get me wrong. I don't mind doing it if that's what he wanted, but for him, it just weirds him out and makes him uncomfortable. So I learned to eventually not define what I see as respect in our relationship based on other people's point of view. So for me, respecting my husband means I don't raise my voice at him. I speak to him well. I treat him well. We serve each other and we do things for each other. But I don't sit and base my respect based on other people's standards. Number two, I don't feel guilty for my husband serving me. I do not. I believe African culture glamorizes the slavery of women we just feed into that whole system of women must do everything. Women must cook, women must clean, we must do this and that. Your husband must never get up to get his own water. And especially never get up to give you water. And I don't allow that. Initially, because of the training that I had growing up, I believe that a husband is someone that you have to serve. That men are, you treat a man almost like he doesn't have limbs. You have to do everything for him. So when I ended up getting married to a guy who doesn't believe in that, number one, and number two, believes in serving his partner, it used to make me very uncomfortable. So I'd be sitting and it would be small things. He'd say things like, I'm getting some juice. Do you want some? And I'd be like, no, thanks. Even though I'm parched, my lips are so dry. But because it felt so uncomfortable to say a man can actually serve his wife and do things for his wife. It was a complete, my mindset had to completely shift because I wasn't used to that. And then I sat down and thought, why? Why does this make me uncomfortable? So it took me some time to sort of undo the brainwashing that had happened over the years and allow him to serve me. I'm sure you all know about the 5 love languages, and one of his love languages is acts of service. So for him, he liked to show me love by doing things for me, making me things, cooking for me, all sorts of things, like doing errands for me, that kind of thing. And because I always used to push back and give some resistance when he tried and do that for me, it started to affect our relationship a little bit. So I realized, you know what? This whole thing that an African woman must have her back broken in order to be deemed a real woman is rubbish. It's okay for your partner to serve you. It's okay for your partners to do things for you. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's love. Love is about service, and it's a two-way street. So On some days, I sit and I wait on him hand and foot because I feel like it, not because I've been told to. And he does the same. That's what it is. And it's balanced. I think it has to make sense. Obviously, there are things that maybe he doesn't like doing or I don't like doing, and then we work on who's going to do what. But we don't conform to like the standard gender roles because we found we were trying to place other people's standards or a mold of what a marriage is supposed to be on our relationship, and it wasn't working out well for us. We are our own people. We figured out our own way. There's some people out there who love to, serve their husbands and everything, and don't ever allow their husbands to do something, and don't ever allow their husbands to do anything for them. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's working for you, carry on, girl. But I can assure you, I am not the one, and I'm not doing any of that. Number 3. I do not change myself, my personality, or my looks to fit in with my in-laws or new people that I'm meeting on my husband's side. I don't do it. I find it harder to fake it. I'm someone who's loud and out there. I like to joke. I like to just do. I'm that kind of personality where wherever I go, I'm probably going to be the loudest person in the room. And when I was getting married, someone actually gave me that talk and said, oh, look, you can't do that anymore in front of your in-laws. You're getting married now. You have to be serious. You can't be doing whatever. Now, in terms of dressing, I've always been someone who generally dresses quite modestly, as it's my personal thing. So in terms of dressing, I don't have to change anything that much, except maybe, of course, when you're going to maybe a funeral or whatever, you dress appropriately for wherever you're going. But I didn't have to change much in terms of my dressing for my in-laws. But in terms of my personality, when I was getting married, I remember someone actually said to me, you know what, you're very loud, you're very chatty, you can't do that kind of thing as a woman. Murora has to be quiet, you have to be submissive, you have to be respectful. But for me, I couldn't understand, what does being quiet have to do with being respectful? I can be respectful and loud. For me, it just didn't make any sense. And I made a decision for myself that, you know what, I'm not going to fake it. If people are going to learn to love me, they need to learn to love the real me. And if they're going to hate me, let them hate the real me, because you can't fake it forever. Say, for example, you put on this fake personality. You're going to do it until when? At what point do you then unleash your real self? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And, I always just say God knows his people, because ironically, I then married into a family of people who are amazing. They're hilarious. They're kind. They're considerate. They're such amazing people. I didn't feel the need to change the person that I was to fit into a particular mold or anything like that. I could just be myself. And I say this, this is with everyone. My mother-in-law is amazing. My father-in-law is amazing. I didn't have to stop being the clown that I am. Anyone who knows me knows that, here. It's a problem. I've got I don't shut up sometimes. So I'm glad I didn't have to try and change and adjust myself to fit into this family. And even if it weren't the case, I don't think I would have done that anyway, even if I had been married into a family of people who are more conservative, a bit more serious. I don't think I could have kept a lid on all of this forever, I think sooner or later, the real you jumps out, and then what are you going to do? So I think people must just get used to you as you are, and just, they'll learn to love you. They'll learn to love you. Or not. And if they don't, that's also okay. But at least you're being the real you and you're being authentic. The next thing I don't do as a wife is try and take things too seriously. When I first got married, I had it in my head that I am now a wife. Wives don't do this. Wives don't do that, based on what other people tell you about what marriage is like. And I decided I'm not going to do that. I am going to make my own way. I'm going to figure out my own path. And obviously, you take advice, like anything, like in all forms of advice, you either take it or leave it. But I realized that I'm not going to try and fit into a particular mold and take myself too seriously. That, now as a wife, I need to always be dressed properly and you know how robotic people can make married women seem. I just decided I'm not going to be that person. One of the things we promised each other when we got married is that we're not going to change. And for sure, even now, I sometimes forget that we've been married for 2 years because we're still the same as we were when we were dating. Why take the title of marriage and make it change everything about you? Change everything about your relationship. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm still the same girl that Chunks met in 2015. I'm still that girl. I mean, obviously, you know, there's some things that adapt and yada yada as you grow older, but like, I've always been the same person. And I think that consistency is also what keeps the flame and the passion going in your marriage. So sometimes if you feel like you've seen my Nikki next door and you feel like, oh, that's the way a wife should be, that is a real woman. Not necessarily. You are a real woman. You are a real wife. Define it for yourself. Make up your mind about what your definition of a good woman is going to be and live up to it. Obviously, there's certain standards that will always be the same, you know, like a biblical woman, what the Bible says a wife should be all those things. But figure out what that means for you in terms of the application. You've got the formula, right? But you need to figure out the application in your own life for yourself. It's not really something that someone else can tell you and say, okay, when you become a wife, you blah, blah, blah. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Be you and the authentic you. Obviously, with a lot of things in marriage, there's a lot of refinement that happens in that certain things that you could get away with before you're living together, when you were dating, whatever, you can't necessarily do them now. But I always say to people, young people who are dating or newly married couples, the best person to ask for advice about being with your partner is your partner. You can come to this channel and try and apply some of the principles that I use in my own marriage. In yours, it's not going to work. Sit and talk to your partner. Sit and talk to them about what their definition of a good wife is. Negotiate. I mean, figure it out. Be honest. These are the conversations that you should be having even before you get married. Because what you don't want is you get married and then someone comes and switches it up for you. So it was all hunky-dory when you guys were dating. It was romantic, and then you get married and someone is like, nope, my wife will only wear long skirts. My wife will do this. No one ever wants to be hit with that surprise. These are things to be talking about while you're dating. When you're going on dates, don't be talking about movies and what's my favorite color and whatever. Start to get an idea of someone's worldview regarding marriage. It'll help you so much. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, honestly. I mean, we're always like, anyone who knows us, we are always joking. We are always clowning around, even like with each other. Like our banter continues. You know, if I feel like I can't joke with my husband, like who on earth am I supposed to joke with? I don't know. Like for me, he's not only my husband, but he's my friend. And I try to cultivate that friendship. I wouldn't treat him in a way that I wouldn't treat my friends, you know. I know sometimes what happens is you get married, right? And you get comfortable. You get comfortable and you start to treat your person badly and you start to take them for granted. It's something that I'm always really conscious of. And don't get me wrong, I can be guilty of that. You know, sometimes it happens. But I don't ever want to take that amazing guy for granted. Like he's mine, he's my gift from God. I hope this is all making sense to you guys. I know I've just rattled on a little bit, but you know, I can be a bit passionate about some of these things. But I hope it makes sense to somebody out there. I get a lot of questions about relationships, marriage, and like an authentic view on what marriage is really like. I think it's just good for everyone to tell their story because it helps. Married people have this thing of like, it's a secret society, you know? You'll find out when you're there. You'll see what it's like when you're there. And I don't understand. Like, why set up another person? I don't know. I sometimes think married people can be selfish to their single friends sometimes by not sharing information. So here I am sharing information out to the whole world for you guys to know. But anyway, I hope it helps somebody out there. Thank you so much for watching my wife talk, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.